Hi, Internet. I'm going to open today with a thought. Is the glass half full or half empty? My new favorite answer to this question is the glass is completely full, half with a liquid state and half with a vapor state. It is exactly the kind of literal thinking that produces a better answer that I am utterly in love with. Also, my alarm is telling me I should be practicing my Tai Chi right now, but I had some really good thoughts, and I thought, you know what, now is a really excellent time to do another one of these episodes really quickly. There's a couple reasons that this is a good time. First of all, I feel much better from last time, and I got a lot of excellent and very heartwarming responses from people offering to just be there and let me talk to them, etc., if it was going to help with what I was struggling with several days ago. And I just wanted to say thank you. That's awesome. Those spells do happen. They suck. Thank you for not pointing and laughing as a result of my recording a video in the middle of one. But they also pass. And the better I get with deliberately controlling my mental state, the faster they pass. I have had years of my life spent in those states, and I'm very pleased to say that doesn't happen very much anymore. That was a hard week, pretty much. But outside the hard week now, and I feel awesome, as is usual, actually, right in the day or so, well, a couple days immediately after a depressive spell, I have to kind of rein things in so as not to come bouncing out the other side. It's like you sink, and then when you come back up, it's hard not to be like, and just kind of overcommit and you know, that kind of thing. I am not, by the way, a manic depressive. That's a normal response to a severe low, whether or not it's a chronic condition. If you know someone who's going through a very low time, you know, be prepared to maybe help them kind of hold their hand a little bit coming out of it, because they're likely to just kind of suddenly feel the lack of gravity on them and maybe go a little, I don't know, excessive for a little while. Like I said, I've been managing this stuff a long time. I feel fine. The couple days on the other side are actually really nice, because it's nice to have that kind of buoyancy. So, yes. By the way, I have my bouncy ball. I don't sit in a chair anymore. I love the bouncy ball. Really good for the back and super fun. Anyway, there is more of a purpose to this than that. That's just what made it a good time to do it. And here's what I wanted to get to this time. I continually am asked to better explain the concept of 3D thinking, and that's a perfectly reasonable ask, but also one that I will probably never succeed at. My goal, however, is not to succeed, but to keep going, and, you know, for every time I fail to fully explain it, I may cover some part of the explanation that proves useful to people. I've certainly never had it fully explained to me. I actually don't think that's possible. I am writing an article right now on why it isn't possible, because that is something that I understand pretty well, and I won't go into it here because it would take forever, and it's also a whole bunch of citations and all of that stuff. But I did, in the course of the last couple days especially, realize that part of the process of making oneself think in 3D that's really helpful to explaining it is the chronological aspect. So I figured I would explain that today, and maybe that would be useful to someone. So first of all, I actively use 3D thinking now when I am struggling with a depressive spell, and it is ridiculously helpful. In fact, that's probably one of the main reasons I came to it as something that I should be learning to do, and something that was, you know, it would be possibly worth my time anyway, because there's a lot of cool things about it, and the area of philosophy I study is heavily concerned with it. But what bears on it a lot is it makes being depressed impossible while you're doing it. Now, like all mental emotional states, depression has a momentum, and all states do. Think about somebody that's really angry. Once I'm good and worked up and angry about something, it has a momentum. You can take away the thing that's making me angry, but I'm still going to like, I'm still going to feel that. There's still going to be a physiological thing there, and there's still going to be a tendency on my part to act and feel angry, even if you remove the stimulus that originally caused it. I think of it like spinning a flywheel. You know, you have emotions and thoughts reacting with each other, and you spin that and you get it going. Even if you take your hands off of it, it's gonna take a while to wind down. However, 3D thinking completely takes your hands off of whatever emotional thing is going on right then. I suppose I'm being a little flippant, just characterizing, you know, depression as an emotional complex or activity, but separate out for the moment that there is an emotional activity that is depression and there is a chronic condition that is depression. I'm not referring to that right now. The emotional condition, which is really a state of being. It's a place you're coming from. It is a tinting of the glasses that you are wearing. Ironic that I happen to be wearing my glasses today. If I'm angry, if I am depressed, if I am totally in love with this new person I just met, whatever my emotional state is, it's coloring what I'm looking through. It is a state of being. And it's not bad to have those, but obviously they can misinform you and they can get you carried away in wrong directions, and they can make you not be adequately seeing or responding to what's really going on. So it is helpful to disengage from them. And actually, this is an entire principle of Eastern self-management too, known as detachment. You'll see mentions of detachment everywhere. It's one of the first things that you usually run into if you're reading about the westernized sort of Zen meditation stuff, is emotional detachment, etc. What they're really talking about is literally detaching from spinning that wheel. 3D thinking is one of the many things that can help you do that. But here's why, and here's how that works. When I talk about moving from 2D to 3D, and I'm often making this symbol, I'm often talking about how your thoughts are running in a linear order, like this. And they're very frequently the content of your thinking is often concerned with something that happened in the past, here's you, or something that might happen in the future. In fact, most emotional pathologies, and not, again, referring to the chronicness of conditions, but just any sort of bad emotion, any sort of emotion that's not doing you a good service right now and that is spinning like a flywheel, is concerned with either the past or the future. It tends to be, I'm focusing on the past, and so I'm angry about something that has happened, or I'm regretting something that's happened, or I'm focused on something that happened to me in some victim story I have, or I'm a perpetrator story I have, or there's something going on there that you're stuck back here, or you are fearing the future, or being ambitious and desirous of a future, and so kind of trying to, grab a future that isn't there, or avoid a future that isn't there. Either way, this 2D thing means that you're almost always either in the past or in the future. And the reason you're almost always either in the past or in the future, and by in I mean where the content of your thinking is that the present in this view is a minuscule dot. You're moving like this, and this is what's actually happening. Trying to focus on that is like showing someone a big, colorful line with pictures and stuff, and it's all going like this, and telling them, watch the pinpoint, watch the dot. Nobody can do that for very long. The rest of it, all that content, is amazingly distracting. And in our minds, we have all that content. You have all of these memories, you have all of these emotions and thoughts that you may never have had time to process. You've got all of these connections that can be drawn between different things. And then, on top of all of that, which is back here, you have the entire realm of possible and impossible worlds that your mind is capable of conceiving. And especially if your mind likes to do things and likes to think and conceive things, this is all very compelling. In my case, one of my favorite hobbies is to think and write science fiction. I love to just sit there and like put together things that either haven't happened and might happen, or could have happened if this was a completely different world, or could never have happened, and am I still able to describe them, and wouldn't that be cool? And this is all of this stuff, your past and your future, and like I said, for most people, it's a little bit more one than the other. I'm definitely a future hog, but this stuff is so compelling that that little tiny pinpoint that's moving, that's actually your experience right now, is unbelievably difficult to focus on. So when I refer to 3D thinking, I am in large part referring to a method for getting your attention to stay on that point, to stay in right now. And the reason that I refer to it as 3D instead of just focus on that point, actually when I first started trying to do this, I did in fact try to focus on that point. And I see a lot of people doing what I've now twice called the westernized Zen thing, and I apologize for that and for not explaining why I say it that way, but later you'll have to catch me. I'll regale you about that. But a lot of people who are getting into more Eastern studies, often from a a perspective more typically available in the West, are taught to try and do that. Right now, right now, right now, right now, right now, right now, right now. Actually, it's in there's a movie, darn, I can't remember the name of it, where they're hitting themselves in the face with bouncy balls going through, like, right now, like trying to, which is kind of a beautiful and a hilarious expansion on it. It's kind of like, the reductio of, oh my God, like that you can go that far with it, where you're actually smacking yourself and trying to stay right here. The reason for 3D instead of that, 3D is something different from going right now, right now, right now, as a way to try and just focus your attention on this, is because the moment is not small. It looks small when the field of your vision is all of that content, all of that past, all of that future, every possible interpretation and connection of both of those things. When that's what you're looking at, the present moment seems tiny, because it's just this one spot. Whereas you're looking at your mind, you're looking at all of this stuff. Not only the real past, but the imaginary past. Not only the possible futures, but the impossible futures. And every possible connection between the two of them. It's huge. It's like a gigantic freaking mural that, by the way, as you change as a person and as you move through time, the mural also changes. So it's not like you revisit some event in your past and now you're done with it. If you want to revisit it again in a week or two, it's going to be completely different, and now it's interesting and engaging again. So it's really easy, like not just easy, but almost inevitable, for the content of your thinking to be 99.6 sigma all the time, the past or the future. But here's the thing. The present is not small. The present is only small from that perspective, and that is what I call the 2D perspective. The 3D perspective is just dive into that dot. Don't look at any of the rest of it, and don't sit in the rest of it trying to focus on that dot. The trick here, and what I'm trying to pull off when I talk about moving into 3D thinking, is instead of this mural here, I want to be positioned this way. So the mural is like this, but I'm standing here in this, right? And now what I see when I look is the present moment. And the present moment is freaking huge. The present moment is so full of sensory input and information. Like, it's not small. You're not sitting here looking at it, focusing on it like this. If you're sitting in it, and you just try and open up your ability to, like, take in what's going on in the present moment, this is why meditation is done sitting in a room by yourself where it's quiet, by the way. Because when you get that, it's almost instantaneous sensory overload. You can be sitting in an empty field, and the sensory overload of how the grass is moving is amazing. And it's a really great feeling, by the way. It's like, it's super interesting and engaging, but also very I am the Matrix. Like, you suddenly have access to all of the information. You're not cutting anything out, or you're not cutting anywhere near as much out. You could argue that we can't process all the information, but that's the point. So when you're in 3D, you are not worrying about all of that past and future content, because you're facing this way, and you've got your mind and the content of your thinking focused on all of this stuff. That is a very different experience. And you know what? I'm going to split it here because I'm 15 minutes in. But I'm going to do another one very soon, and we're going to talk about what the difference is in the experience of having all of that 2D content in your mind versus sitting here. And I can't believe I never thought to physically turn myself. That's a really useful metaphor too. Versus sitting here and letting all of this come in, because it puts a new twist on what we think of as content. But I have a lot of information about that too, and it's exciting stuff. And thank you to everyone who has sent me questions. You guys are super helpful. Thank you again to everyone who looked at my last video and said, oh my God, if you need to talk, I'm here. You guys are freaking amazing. If I don't take you up on it, please do take that awesomeness of yours and offer it to someone else you see who's having the same problems, because it's not that it fixes things, but it is amazingly helpful. It is amazingly helpful to be grounded a little bit and to know that there is a human connection out there somewhere. Even if you can never reach it other than through an email, even if you can't reach it, period, knowing that there is someone out there that would be willing to help makes a big difference to all of us. So I appreciate it, and please do pass it on. Anyway, next one coming soon, and I would love to hear your comments as usual, and everybody have a great day, Internet!